I threw a party to celebrate a huge project milestone, one I personally led for 6 months. I invited my whole team, my boss, even some higher-ups. It was supposed to be my night, a celebration of our collective hard work, and maybe, just maybe, a hint at the promotion I'd been working towards. The atmosphere was perfect, music playing, everyone laughing, good food, good drinks. My apartment was buzzing with energy. I felt on top of the world. My boss, Mr. Henderson, tapped his glass for a toast. I smiled, thinking this was it. He was going to acknowledge my leadership, my dedication. He started off great, talking about the project's success, how it exceeded all expectations. My heart was pounding. Then he said, "And that's why it's my great pleasure to announce the new senior project manager." He paused, and his eyes scanned the room. They didn't land on me. They landed on Alex. "Alex Turner!" The room erupted in applause. Alex, who joined the team just 3 months ago. Alex, who I personally trained. Alex, who spent more time chatting by the coffee machine than contributing any real ideas. I felt the air leave my lungs. It was like a physical blow. My smile felt frozen on my face, a brittle mask threatening to shatter. I clapped along, my hands feeling numb. I walked over to Alex, hugged them, and said, "Congratulations, so well deserved." The words tasted like ash. As Alex was swarmed with well-wishers, I slipped away to the kitchen, needing a moment. My mind was racing. How could this happen? I poured everything into this project. Late nights, weekends, sacrificing time with family and friends. For what? To watch someone else get my promotion, the injustice of it all was suffocating. I looked around at my party, my celebration, now tainted by this bitter twist. It was my party, in my home, and he'd used it to humiliate me. That's when the anger started to burn away the shock. It was a cold, clear fire. I wasn't just going to accept this. I wasn't going to quit in a huff. No, that would be too easy for them. They wanted me to be a good sport, to keep my head down and continue doing all the hard work while Alex took the credit. I went back into the living room, my plastic smile firmly in place. I congratulated Mr. Henderson on his bold choice. I mingled. I laughed. I played the part of the gracious loser. But underneath it all, a plan was beginning to form. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. My revenge wouldn't be loud or dramatic. It would be quiet, meticulous, and absolutely devastating. That night, at my own party, they didn't just promote Alex, they created their own worst nightmare. The next Monday at work was surreal. There was a company-wide email from Mr. Henderson officially announcing Alex's promotion. It was full of praise for Alex's innovative perspective and natural leadership. I almost laughed out loud. Alex's most innovative perspective was figuring out the fastest route to the snack bar. I forwarded the email to my personal address with the subject line, Exhibit A. My plan had officially begun. Phase 1 was simple. Observation. I needed to understand the new power dynamic completely. I watched how Alex interacted with the team, how they handled meetings, how they communicated with Mr. Henderson. It was, to be frank, a disaster. Alex was completely out of their depth. They delegated tasks they didn't understand, made promises to clients we couldn't keep, and their idea of leading a meeting was to ask everyone what they thought we should do. I, on the other hand, became the most helpful, supportive team member you could ever imagine. When Alex was struggling to understand a technical brief, I'd casually say, "Oh, that's a tricky one. I spent a few weeks on that initial spec. Let me walk you through it." I'd explain it in the simplest terms, making myself indispensable while subtly highlighting Alex's incompetence. I never made it look like I was showing them up. I was just being a good colleague, a team player. Mr. Henderson even commended me for helping Alex transition so smoothly. Oh, if he only knew. Simultaneously, I started documenting everything. Every missed deadline of Alex's, every confused email, every time I had to step in and save a presentation or a client call. I created a private folder on my personal drive, a meticulously organized archive of Alex's failures. I saved chat logs, I took screenshots, I wrote detailed notes with dates and times. It wasn't just about Alex, though. I started paying closer attention to Mr. Henderson's patterns, his biases, his tendency to favor charm over competence. Phase 2 was strategic assistance. I started helping Alex with their reports to Mr. Henderson. I'd offer to proofread them. Of course, my proofreading involved rewriting entire sections to make them coherent, but I always left a few minor, easily correctable errors. Just enough for Alex to feel like they had contributed. The reports looked great, and Alex got all the credit. But I had the original drafts. I had the proof of who was really doing the work. I also started planting seeds of doubt. Not about Alex directly, that would be too obvious. Instead, I focused on the process. In team meetings, I'd raise thoughtful questions. I'm a little concerned about the timeline on the new project. Given our current workflow, it seems ambitious. Perhaps we should reevaluate our resource allocation. I sounded responsible and proactive. But the subtext was clear. Alex's planning was flawed. The team started to see it too. They'd come to me with their concerns, not Alex. I became the unofficial leader, the one they trusted. The tipping point came about 2 months later. We were up for a massive new contract, the biggest in our department's history. The final pitch was in 2 weeks, and Alex was supposed to lead it. Panic was setting in. Alex was fumbling, the proposal was a mess, and the team was on the verge of a full-blown mutiny. Mr. Henderson, shielded by the polished reports I'd been helping to create, was oblivious. He just saw that projects were, on the surface, moving along. This was my moment. This was phase 3, the reveal. But it had to be perfect. The day before a major check-in meeting with Mr. Henderson, I stayed late. I compiled a contingency plan. It was the pitch deck we should have had, complete with market analysis, a detailed project plan, and a realistic budget. It was the work I had been doing in the shadows for the past 2 months. The next day in the meeting, Alex presented their plan. It was weak. The numbers didn't add up, the strategy was vague. You could see the confidence draining from Mr. Henderson's face. He started asking sharp, pointed questions that Alex couldn't answer. The silence in the room was deafening. For the first time, Mr. Henderson looked at me, really looked at me, and saw what he had overlooked. He didn't say anything in the meeting, just told us he needed to think. But I knew. I had won. Later that day, he called me into his office. Alex was already there, looking pale. Mr. Henderson didn't waste time. He said, "I've made a mistake." He announced that I would be taking over the lead on the new contract pitch. Alex was to support me. The demotion wasn't public, but in the corporate world, everyone knew what that meant. But my plan wasn't finished. Leaving them to flounder in my old department wasn't enough. I needed a bigger win. Over the next week, I not only perfected the pitch, but I also used my network. I had been quietly talking to recruiters for weeks, sharing sanitized versions of my accomplishments. My work on the new pitch became my crowning achievement. The day we won the contract, I received 2 offers from competing firms. Both were for director-level positions, a double promotion with a significant pay increase. The next morning, I walked into Mr. Henderson's office and placed my letter of resignation on his desk. His face fell. He tried to counter-offer, promising me the senior manager role officially, a raise, anything. I smiled, a real smile this time. "Thank you, Mr. Henderson," I said, "but I've accepted a position where my contributions will be valued from the start, not just when there's a crisis." I then walked over to Alex's desk. "Good luck," I said, loud enough for the team to hear. "You're in charge now." The look of sheer terror in their eyes was more satisfying than any promotion. Leaving them behind to clean up the mess they'd made, with a boss who now knew their true capabilities, was the ultimate revenge. My plan wasn't just about getting a promotion, it was about proving my worth on my own terms and leaving them to face the consequences of their bad judgment. And it was absolutely perfect. Thank you for watching, and if you have a story of your own, share it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.